Anton De Pasquale has not had the best year. Earlier in the year, you would have thought Will Davison is better than Anton. And then we get to the late part of the year, and Anton's on form. Anton's doing better than Will. Might be about to eat my words. I'm pretty sure they're about the same at the Gold Coast. I don't know, but Anton got the podium at Bathurst. Will Davison did not. It was very much a similar sort of year for the Davison brothers at Bathurst. Anton is proving that he can have a rough start to the year, and then you get to maybe the middle point of the year, and he starts just racking up points and getting good scores, but he's not regularly better than Will Davison, which is a bit surprising because it's like he's not quite there yet or something. There were plenty of times where you would have easily thought that Anton was better. It just doesn't seem to be the case. His time at Erebus, he was constantly getting better, so we didn't really get to see what a fully fledged Anton with Erebus would have been like. I think since he joined DJR, he became a lot more mature. He'd always seemed mature anyway when he was with Erebus, but as a driver, and in terms of, even if it seemed like it was bad, he just went, yeah, it's just not so great, but we're working on it. And I don't think Anton really said that much about parity. I can't think of a lot of stuff that he said that was a big deal. It's like Anton's best we're not quite there yet. Anton will be, a better year is going to come, and it could be next year. It was weird watching Gold Coast and seeing DJR have such a shocking weekend, because we believe that they're such a good team because in Gen 2 they were such a good team. Pretty much from 2017 through to the end of Gen 2, there was like two good teams, Triple Eight and DJR. It makes you wonder if DJR actually aren't good, but Scott McLaughlin made them look good. And like the legacy that he left with the Gen 2 car was just as good as it got. Like they had such a great template, such a great set of data from Scotty that they were able to just constantly pound out great results. And then they get up to building a new car, and Groves are beating them, Tickford's beating them, Walkinshaw's beating them. One car from Walkinshaw's beating them. And you wonder what the hell's going on. Why is it like that? The Townsville win was brilliant. And I feel like I've been switching sides all year on parity, but I did my own data assessment and looked at it and went, you know what? Most of the time, like, you look at qualifying versus race results, it really shouldn't be that bad. It shouldn't be such a big difference. Usually what happens is after the pit stops, the Fords come back out and they're not as fast anymore. And Cameron Waters at Townsville was on pole on the Sunday and dropped to 15th or something. Whereas Anton and Chaz Moster were like the two guys putting Fords on the podium because they did the three-stopper. And Anton had an absolute garbage year up to that point. And you went, what the hell's going on? Why is he having such a bad year? This is like 2022 all over again. Then he starts racking up podiums. He gets the win at Townsville, then he goes to City Motorsport Park and he gets a podium again. And then they go to Bathurst and he gets another podium. Pretty much on a solid point scoring run to get him into the top 10 of the championship. And it had not been fantastic up to that point. It'd been pretty rough up to Townsville. And then he got the win, and then it was like all of a sudden he jumped up to 16th in the championship, where like he pretty much jumped into the little points battle between something like 16th to 8th or something like that, 16th to 6th. A lot of close margins where one guy has a good weekend, he jumps a heap of spots. Which is what we saw at the Gold Coast. All of a sudden, there was like a switcheroo, bunch of guys had switched spots. David Reynolds had jumped from back of the 20 to back of the 10. And same thing with Matt Payne. He's really turned his year around, and it was like that last year. Anton had a bit of a shocker. He was getting beaten by Will Davison all the time. You're looking at it going, why aren't you beating Will Davison? Like, we expect you to be. He wasn't close on points either. Then he ends up beating Will in the championship, even though he wasn't the main breadwinner. Got the win at Darwin, which was, I think, up until Darwin, it was a pretty rough start to the year. He just wasn't anywhere. He got to Darwin, he got that win. And it's the same sort of situation in 2023, where, okay, you got parity, so if you're driving a Ford, you probably won't get a podium. But James Courtney did, David Reynolds did, Chaz Mostert did. You got a bunch of cars that got podiums early on, or at certain tracks, and DJR didn't do it. Especially Anton didn't do it. And he's supposed to be the future of that team. And anytime anyone talks about getting rid of a driver, they always talk about getting rid of Will Davison. But he keeps proving that he's still good. And it's not like Anton sweeping the floor with him. they're pretty even, really. One of them will out-qualify the other. You don't really know which one it's going to be. And one of them will outrace the other one. You don't really know what's going to be there either. It's sort of disappointing to see guys like Will Brown and Brock Feeney coming up and Brody Kostecki, and Anton's not there because he was there before. He was sort of like the young guy getting lots of podiums and getting points and stuff and doing really well. And he's just not there probably because guys like Cameron Waters and Chaz Most have been there a long time and are doing well. Anton is a little bit later. He's one of the 2018 guys. He's like Jack LeBrock and Todd Hazelwood and James Golding, even though Golding had a couple of years off. Pretty much it's LeBrock and Hazelwood's leaving. LeBrock is pretty much the only close comparison, and Anton was always, like in their first year, Anton was beaten by LeBrock because it's hard to say why, really. I think LeBrock was just a better driver, possibly. You got to think about it. 2017 Super 2, Anton had a good car. LeBrock was in the Nissan, and the Nissan was really good in Super 2. LeBrock was getting race wins. He had a chance at the championship until he tried to go around the outside of Shea Davies and threw himself in the fence. Anton had a breakthrough year in Super 2 in 2017. And then from that breakthrough year where he was an outside chance at the championship, went straight to the main game. Dale Wood was hanging up the helmet. They weren't sure if they were going to go with a young guy or if they were going to go with a more experienced guy to get some good points, which is what Betty wanted. And Barry Ryan was like, no, we need Anton, because Anton's under Paul Morris's wing, and Paul Morris is doing all the right thing with all the young guys coming through. They went with Anton, and since Anton, then comes Will Brown and Brody Kostecki and Brock Feeney, and you got all these young guys coming through that are top talents. Yeah, just not super impressed with Anton. He's just a late bloomer, like every year. And that's pretty much it. There were a few weird years, it's like he's a late bloomer, but it hasn't always been that way. I mean, 2021, there was a lot of crashes. 22, 23, it's been it hasn't been perfect, but you just keep plucking away at it. It's hard. You can't say Anton's one of the fastest guys if he can't out-qualify the car and outrace the car.